Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with a daily race C. This is a race that wasn't streamed. I jumped on Tuesday and did a very quick race, jumped on with no practice and decided to just go for a race. We did do the night before, starting from the back of the grid. So I set a quick time trial time. Wasn't particularly amazing, but it was good enough to start P2 in this lobby. But there were some fast drivers in it. We have Derek, very fast driver in P1, and Jimbray Twitch in P3. So very fast drivers. It'd be interesting what the tactic is going to be in this. We've got P3 in the hybrid car, which is fairly good at doing the no stopper, and we've got P1 in a non-hybrid car and myself in the hybrid car. So straight away off the start I was pretty confident we're going to get straight past Derek off the acceleration. So just watch this as we get on the throttle, straight past. That's the advantage of the hybrid system over not using the hybrid system. So quite lucky to get ourselves into P1 straight away off the start. You can see also in the mirror it looked like P3 was also having a look at making a move on the pole sitter. So that shows you just how strong these hybrids are on acceleration. And now need to take advantage of this hybrid at the early acceleration zones on this track. Very good for the hybrid. Lucky to get away with a penalty there. We just about brought it back on track in time. We got a massive amount of understeer when the hybrid kicked in third gear, just understeer wide. But now we've got ourselves a reasonable gap here. This should be enough to hold off Derek in the flat out zone. So from after this corner now, where we break down to third gear, throw it into this fast left-hander. This is all flat out acceleration. So this is where P2 Derek is going to be able to gain in that Alpine. It's got the straight line speed and the top end speed to just really start bringing that gap down. You have a little look at the delta on the left hand side where it's just getting closer and closer to me, but it looks like we've got that covered into the braking zone, and we've still got a bit of a gap. And now you can see that Derek went a little bit too hot into that corner, but now we've got the hybrid again giving us that advantage up the hill and on the acceleration zone. But again, this is the point now is where that Alpine will start gaining on us into the final corners, and we've still got that lead. Pretty much enough now. I believe that should be enough now to cover off Derek into turn 1 after we complete the lap, because now from this point again it's all going to play into the Alpine's strengths now through this corner and then onto this straight. So there is an opportunity that the Alpine can make moves into turn 1, but we've got that covered for this lap. If we make a mistake though, it's going to be pretty costly if we make any sort of mistake, because the Alpine is going to be so close to us going into this left hand corner. Trying to make sure we're gentle on the throttle. We don't want to spin the car, just trying to be nice and smooth. This was we just jumped on for a quick race, so we wasn't really properly warmed up, and just trying to keep it smooth, keep it consistent, not really looking for a, an ultimate race finishing time, just trying to keep it in P1 at this stage as we work our way down through the hybrid zone. I like to call that the hybrid zone because that's where this Audi does build up a lead over the Alpine, and then into his right hand corner, trying to get the power for these really fast flowing corners. Now again, this is going to play into the hands of the Alpine as we go through the really fast left right hand free flowing corners there, and you can see he is gaining. Look how close he is there. We made a mistake on there. It looks like P3 also made a bit of a mistake in that dirty air behind there. We're going to have to go defensive here after making that mistake through there. And it looks like that Alpine straight line speed is going to be able to get past. Has it got the straight line speed advantage? It has. You can see there, so much faster in 6th gear. Puts himself into P1, but now we're going to get that resurgence with the hybrid unit and get straight back past Derek there on the inside through that fast corner and just about holding the lead. Going to have to go straight away defensive to the right hand side so he can't make a move there. And look how close this is. Insanely close driving between myself and Derek. Virtually touching the rear of that Audi all the way through the corner. Great driving and respectful and clean, and that's what we like to see on GT Sport. As we start another lap now, will he be able to go for a move into turn 1? This will be really interesting. Has he got enough speed from that car to make a move into turn 1? I'm going to have to go defensive. You can see gone defensive to the left hand side. He's going down that right side. He's going to try and brake late. I'm going to brake really late. The car starts sliding. Both of us brake late, but I just about managed to hold that P1, and now we're going to have the ability to pull away a little bit now because we've got the hybrid unit. That's going to give us the strength through these next exits of corners, especially this right hander here now, where we get on the power in 3rd gear, and we should be able to build that lead up a couple of attempts extra now into the next braking though. So we've managed to hold that off for that lap, and it was really important that we did that, because I think the Audi might have had slightly better tyre wear than the Alpine, so really important that held him off for these few corners, because it would have been hard to pass once he had got the advantage down the straight. I think although we got the hybrid starts fading off on the Audi after a few laps compared to say the Porsche, for example, that keeps the hybrid longer but just doesn't have the overall pace throughout the whole race. So now we're going to have to just concentrate on trying to put reasonable lap time. You can see a bit scruffy lap 2 with all the defending and that. Not a particularly great lap time, 39.2. Really, we should be doing 30, low 38, 38.3, something like that at that stage of the race. But you can see again, Derek getting very close on that acceleration, the top speed zone, to being able to make a move, but just not close enough. And again, I'm able to just out accelerate him off that hill and now into these final corners, trying to keep it smooth. And I needed to try and build a slight lead up if possible, because I was worried about the Alpine's ability to make a move into turn 1. You can see again he's a little bit too far back, as he let's have a little look as we go through the final corner, trying to stay on the power all the way through there to keep the momentum into turn 1. I'm going to go to the left hand side again to try and stop him getting slipstream, but you can see we've got the advantage there. You can see the difference there. We've just done a 38.3 it is, I think. So lap 2, I think we lost out on well over a second there, just defending. A little, slight loss of time because of the battling, but now we seem to be building that lead up. You can see we've got it over a second, and that's really important as we go through this right hand corner. And the good thing is that Toyota looks like it's very close to Derek in the mirror, and he's possibly going to be able to make a move down that hybrid zone, and he has. You can see it in the left hand side on the deltas. Jimbray Twitch has made a move, has got himself up into P2, and that's quite good for me really, because I think that Derek on the straight lines would have more of an opportunity to pass. The Audi and the Toyota are fairly similar in cars, but it'll be interesting. Is Jimbray Twitch going to go for a different strategy? I really wasn't sure. Let's move on to the end of lap 5 now. You can see this is now we're hitting into the pit zone time where you can choose a bit. Now this is probably the best time to pit really in terms of your overall pace in the race. So if you want to get the most out of your pace, if you can come out the pits in the right slot, this is the time you pit. However, the risky part of pitting on lap 5 is that you could end up in traffic. You can see that Jimbray Twitch must have had a penalty or something. He's lost a couple of positions there, but that battle is still fairly close. You can see it. He probably lost about 2-3 seconds, so maybe he had contact with Derek when Derek broke to it. I'm really not sure. But is Derek going to go in the pits now? We've got over a 4-second lead. Derek's in the pits, but you can see that Jimbray Twitch has not gone in the pits, so it looks like he's either following my strategy or he's going to go for the no stopper. It'll be really interesting how this race pans out. You can see Derek in the pits with very similar fuel to what I had, so there's not really a massive fuel advantage for Derek as we've got in the pits, and I find this aggressive approach much more, it just seems to work, I think, better. I prefer driving like this, driving flat out, and the Audi seems to like being driven like this. I know you'd use the hybrid up, but the refueling in the pit stop doesn't take that long. You'll see when we get in the pits, even though we're using this fuel up, we're going to change the tyres obviously, and that is a massive advantage on this race. You can see the tyre wear kicking in, and one thing I loved about this race was the variety and strategies that you can run in this race. You can pit lap 5, 6, you can do the nose stopper. There's different cars with strengths and weaknesses. It's quite an interesting race to do, and I really wish that the FIA races were back to this kind of racing where we had different strategies, different you can run it flat out if you want and pit, or you can look after the tyres and save fuel and do a nose stopper. And it's quite interesting that both of them are fairly equal. We have had reasonable results doing nose stoppers for the 94 on the screen, so it was possible to do as we now approach the end of lap 6. This is going to be the lap we're going to go in the pits and try and new set of tyres, refuel the car up slightly, and let's have a little look as we go in the pits. This is what I'm talking about with the aggressive approach. Just seems to work better for me. I feel like, yeah, you're going to use more fuel up, revving it out. However, the lap times are better, and I just prefer getting in a rhythm of driving it flat out rather than driving it slow. You can see now, after the tyres have been changed, just watch how little time it takes to refuel that. We only have to put a little bit in anyway by driving it the way we have, and you're going to see now, let's just see in terms of time how long it takes. So the tyres are off, refueling starts there, so it's about 3 seconds, and maybe 2.5, 3 seconds. Now I think that is worth doing for the sake of being able to drive more aggressively. However, I did overfuel there slightly. You can see I put a little bit too much extra in, and now this driver who hasn't pitted yet has managed to get past me, and it's a little bit frustrating this because I don't think this P2 driver has pitted yet. He seems to be on old tyres, struggling a little bit, and now we're going to have to try and work past. However, I think that might be the Porsche, which is really strong on the hybrid. You could see the difference between hybrid that he's got left. However, top end, the Audi will be able to get past, but we're losing a little bit of time here, and I think maybe I could have cut that pit stop short by about a second by just refueling a little bit less. I don't know why I carried on past the white line. I didn't need to do that because your fuel gets better as the car gets lighter. But now we're stuck in the dirty air and we're losing time all the way through these corners, and this is a bit frustrating. But now we're going to pick up that slipstream, and we should make this a fairly easy pass with this car in front of the Porsche. You can see the difference between the Audi and the Porsche top end. Fairly comfortable. We go past, tuck back into the racing line, hit the brakes at the right point, into the apex, and we've got that move made. But looking in the mirror, you can see that Derek is right behind us. He has gained quite a bit out of doing that earlier pit stop. You can see that is the advantage of doing it. You do get quite a big undercut. However, we're now going to have to fresher tyres all the way to the end, so it's one of them. There's pros and cons to each, but I think the overall fastest way to do this race probably would be to pit lap 5 if you can come out in clean air. But what you can see behind me is that Derek is not in clean air. He's struggling. He's got people around him. He's having to overtake them. I just about came out ahead of that battle, and that was the risk I took because I had quite a big lead. We had 4 seconds to play with, so we kind of sacrificed a bit of overall race finishing pace throughout the whole race just to get the fresher tyres, because I felt confident I would come out ahead of Derek still. But now we've got to aim at catching Jimbray. Jimbray Twitch did not pit. We're going to have to try and push to see if we can catch him up. You can see we've got a bit of a gap to gain. We've got 4 laps to do it in, and he's got about 6-second lead, but you can see him in the distance there. We can, once you can see the driver, that just gives you that little bit of added motivation to keep pushing. We go through the purple sector there. Didn't quite hook that first sector up really, but because obviously the fresh tyres and the fuel now, we have enough fuel to really rev it out, but we overfueled slightly. We're going to be able to really push on and see if we can catch P1 up. You can see Derek there staying around 2.5 seconds behind at the moment. Different sections of the track seem to suit the different cars. You'll see it on this part, he'll start gaining, and then we'll get into the acceleration zones where the gap will start widening and back up. So it's just a case of fluctuations between the different cars' abilities over the lap. But now P1 really seems to be struggling. You can see the difference on 1 acceleration zones and 2 on the corners. The corner is where most of the time is being made up now to P1, because his tyres are probably really suffering. The front tyres will be scrubbing away. They won't have much grip at all on the fast-paced corners. You can see through here, gaining like 4 tenths just through 1 set of corners, and that is where we're going to be able to really push on and get as close as possible. You can see the gap always coming down there now, where he's really losing a lot of time each lap, and this is the disadvantage of the no stopper. So it would have been interesting if he didn't have that penalty or something. Maybe he had a little spin or something. He probably lost about 2-3 seconds, where he would have been a little bit further up now, so we'd have had to be really pushing at this stage. But I felt like we were going to be able to get him at this stage. You can see the gap is coming down. We have only got 3 laps to do it, but we've also got the gap to Derek behind. Pretty stable. It's around 2.4 seconds still, and now we're getting to the zone on the track where the hybrid excels. So we're going to increase that gap to about 2.8 seconds as we go into the next fast right-hand corner. I really like this corner. It's a corner where you've got to be brave into how late you can brake. You brake a little bit too late, you run wide. It really is an enjoyable set of corners. I am starting to like this course. It is not a track that I'm particularly strong at. It's one of my weaker tracks, but I am starting to like the layout, and I think we need to really start doing these tracks a little bit more, because I do like them, and it's one of my weak areas of the game. It's the fictional track, so maybe we need to do a little bit more practice on tracks like this. So that's why I wanted to do this race as well, again, off stream, just to practice myself, get myself more used to it. There is a race in the FIA coming up at this with one of my favourite cars, the X 2019. You saw us get a win in the top FIA race in that car, so it's going to be a good car for me, but not particularly a good track. So it'll be interesting what I can do at that combination when it pops up, as we're now getting very close to P1 as we start the penultimate lap. You can see coming to the end of lap 9, 2 more laps to go. Are we going to be able to get before the end of this lap? Not very likely. You see, we're not close enough to make a move into turn 1, but it looks like after them we're going to be getting very close to make a move. And you can see Derek still behind me around that 2.6, 2.7 second mark. He's not losing too much time, but he's going to start struggling probably towards the end of the final lap, where I'll have that lap, the whole lap fresher tyres is worth quite a lot. But you see there, Jimbray Twitch makes a little mistake, braking a little bit too late. This is going to give me the opportunity. Will I be able to make a move here? Not going to be able to make a move there. Not really worth risking, to be honest. I didn't want to risk that move. I felt like it would be safer just to hold back, wait for an opportunity. Are we going to be able to do it out of this corner? Much more grip on the front end. You can see that there on the accelerator, and now the top end speed of the Audi is going to take effect, and we're going to have to brake a little bit later. Are we going to brake too late? A little bit too late, and the car's going to slide a bit, but just about managed to keep it on the track and get ourselves into P1 with just a lap and a half to go. So It would have been really interesting if GeForce Twitch didn't make the mistake that he must have made, or the penalty that he got. I still think though, if you look how fast we're going to pull away through the corners, it would have been a case of overtaking him on the final lap, which I think would have been fairly comfortable with the fact that we had pitted on lap 6 for the fresh tyres, and he would have been really struggling with tyres. We're now going to the right hand corner. You can see we've got that lead pretty much over a second now, and it's looking fairly comfortable for the win. You can see in the distance that we've managed to pull a bit more of a gap away from Derek, and the race is starting to look a bit more comfortable. We're just going to have to keep it nice and smooth now all the way to the finish, and see if we can get the victory in this race as we go through these really fast right hand corners. Another set of corners that I do like, but very tricky to get the most out of. You've really got to hook that corner up perfectly to get on the throttle nice and early going into the final corner, and then just a case of carrying as much speed through this final corner as possible. And now you can see that gap is over 1.3, but it's just building and building and building. P2 cannot live with the pace with the tyres that I'm on. Obviously the Audi is a better car over one lap also, so pretty difficult for P2 to really fight this now. He's pretty much going to be just trying to hold on to that position and seeing if he can hold off Derek in this race as we go through the section now, where we're going to just be able to build up more of a lead with the handling advantage that these fresh tyres are going to give me. So you can see this race pretty much won now. We're going to skip through to the very end of the race as we built that lead up to over 4 seconds, comfortable lead, but GeForce Twitch managing at this point still to hold on to P2 over Derek. That was really interesting. So the Alpine's tyre wear, clearly not that great, and I do know that Derek in the Audi was probably a little bit faster than what I was, so I think the Alpine wasn't the strongest car to use at this track, because I did see Derek do it in quite a fast time. That time we could have optimised that better. We had a few mistakes battling and stuff. We got held up by that back marker when we came out of the pit, so I think my ultimate pace would be about 1919 and 1920, something like that. But I have seen Derek do it in faster, I think in 1919, and we have seen someone else do it in 1917, so not the strongest combination for me, but we managed to get away with a win, and that's what's important. A great race, enjoyable race as well. I did enjoy that. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed, and click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching, everyone.